to manage their office in Taipei, Taiwan. And so I took the job, and by listening to the CD one day when I was driving to San Diego, it didn't have a name. There was nothing there. I didn't know who it was, but I was listening to this monk talking, and it was just like everything he was saying just made perfect sense with me. I just was like, that's just how I feel. That's how I think. That's how I see the world. And he just mentioned his name, but I knew that it was in Taiwan. And so when I got the job to go to Taiwan, it was sort of serendipitous. And I was able to find the monk and able to start taking part in the trainings and work with the group that he had put together over there in Taiwan. And so I was learning a form of Buddhist meditation that he calls early Buddhist meditation or early Buddhism. And that doesn't separate things from, if any of you are familiar with Buddhism, it's Mahayana and Hinayana. There is no separation. And so he also added a lot of Taoist thought and different Eastern traditions from the Chinese philosophies. And this is an excerpt from the book. In the Eastern tradition, before a person becomes adept at action, they must first perfect the art of non-action. In other words, to excel in activity or motion, we should first perfect the state of stillness and calm. A physical and mental vibration becomes our normal state of being, then we become less sensitive to the state of vibration and motion beyond the healthy balance. It's like a state of continuous action. And through my practice, I just learned that it's so important for us to learn to be still, because in our society doesn't teach us to be still, it teaches us to move. And so when we can find a balance with stillness versus movement, then it gives us more of a connection to the movement, and our movements are more precise. So a lot of what I gained from this practice was through insight and enlightenment that came to me by watching my thoughts, which allowed me to understand my mind. And then I could understand my problems, that I was able to change my thoughts. When I had a negative thought, or when I have negative thoughts, I'm still able to change them and send them back out. And by doing that, I'm taking advantage of the plasticity of the brain and teaching my brain to think in positive ways rather than negative ways. So with the media outlet touting perfection and success achieved in ways that don't blend with reality or the constant push for more, it becomes a steeper uphill battle. Without the tools to travel the arduous journey, many fail. And the Chinese expression, 静观其变, in silence, observe the change. We're advised to be calm and observe the happenings in our life and the change that follows. And this is another excerpt from the book. So balanced living, I find, comes from inner silence, and that also relates to the idea of just being able to be still, because stillness is silence. And so I've also been learning a lot from the I Ching and the I Ching, or the Book of Changes, and understanding the importance of balance and how there are so many opposing energies going on around us and within us. The opposites of good and bad, or right and wrong, or like and dislike, and all of these things that we're grappling with on a daily basis. And when we can recognize that each of them actually has aspects of the other inside them, it really helps us to better understand what they are. For instance, good is not always good, because sometimes there is bad and good, and bad is not always bad, because sometimes there is good and bad. And so when we have everything within our society so black and white and put into perfect little squares, that really makes it very difficult for us to live in reality, because that's not reality. And then focusing on the breath cycle, which is something that I coined, the idea of an in-breath and an out-breath. So that's the breath cycle, one in-breath, one out-breath. And why do we stop on the out-breath? Because that's going to be our final breath. So everything completes on the out-breath. Paying attention, being aware, focus, and grounding. And this is, as you can see on the right-hand corner, a upward motion that we need to be able to pay attention and have the ability to pay attention, which allows us to become aware. That gives us the ability to focus, and through focus, we can achieve grounding.
Todd, you're at 7 minutes.
So this is my ask again. So I'm looking for ideas for publications, broadcast outlets, target audience, and segments. Thank you.
Nice work. All right, who wants to get us started today?
I'll go. You know, Todd, my suggestion would be to walk folks down the path of what you're thinking a little bit more, and maybe avoid the rabbit holes. I'm just like you, avoid the rabbit holes of details that you had in the beginning. And so when I'm thinking, like, you know, what I've learned in my slowing down and calming down, when I slow down, I notice the little things that my dog does. And then I notice the birds, and I notice things that weren't even there before that have always been there. Like that kind of example, alliteration kind of thing, and use a little bit maybe more of that when your introduction to your book. I felt you're just like me in that we go down these rabbit holes of details. And then you have a lot of people on this call who are really mindfulness folks. I almost think like most all of us on this call are mindfulness folks. So that is kind of, you know, we're all here to help. You know, that would be the grassroots, I think, works the best.
Stephen.
First of all, thank you, Todd, for the presentation. I have to agree with the comment that was just made in terms of we are here to help, and a lot of us are mindfully aware. What I would suggest for me to connect with this better would be to hear your story and that journey as a contiguous event throughout the talk, and then what are the outcomes? There were a lot of what you do while you're doing this practice, but I didn't hear why that makes my life better. And if you want me to buy a book, it's got to make my life better, or be Larry Niven. So that's what I've got.
Thank you.
So I think basically, if I can wrap up what Harley and Stephen both said, is they want to hear your hero's journey. So what's your high point? Start with your high point rather than your low point. Like, here's how my life is better now. And then go to your low point. Like, here's what was going on in my life when I found this, or not when I found this, but what, like the worst point of things, which might have been being laid off in Phoenix and then having to move. I'm not sure, you can decide that. And then your turning point, like listening to this CD that didn't have a cover, and then back to your high point of what you got. And now I share these ideas in this book, maybe kind of what they're asking for.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? James.
I'm German, so I think of structure and pattern all the time. And I think that, I mean, the concepts that you put across were great, and I practice many of them. But just as an idea for structure, break each topic up into three things. First is, what does it say in the book? Second is, what is the big picture thinking behind it? And third, what's your personal experience or personal knowledge about that? I think that might have a nice rhythm to it.
Okay, thank you.
Jenny.
Since we're talking about story, I think that the story of the CD is a really useful one. Like, it was, you know, how you got it, you go ask for help and they give you a blank CD or a CD with no information on it that you then carry with you for no good reason for a few years or however long. And then when you listen to it, it changes your life. Like, I think that thread can be some of the way that you shape the other things that people are talking about. Because we don't have, from the presentation, I don't have a good sense of what is the purpose of the book. Like, is the book about your journey and experience, or is the book so that other people can have a journey and experience? I don't I'm not sure about that. And I think that goes back to the comment that Stephen made about outcomes. That we need to know what the outcomes of the book are. But I think carrying that, like, I loved when you said it was serendipitous, like carrying the thread of that serendipity through how you tell us how the book shaped you and how it's going to shape us.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe is your book our blank CD? Like we might give the
Yeah.
book to somebody and it sits on their shelf for 5 years. Like
You know, there's your marketing right
I'm
there.
kidding.
You get a blank CD that has your book on it, the old fashioned way. Like there's your mark. That's totally different, right? Like we don't even they'd have to figure out how to use that CD.
It's true. I received a meditation disc and
Yeah.
like, I would love to listen to
They
it.
could use it as a coffee, like whatever, a coaster, but it says that it's like, here's your blank CD. The answer's right here whenever you're ready.
But I mean, fair enough, like same thing. I had a little meditation book that I sat on for 5 years and then finally was like, when it's time, right? So is that what your book is, Todd? Is it our blank CD?
No, I don't think so. I think it's the guide to turn your head into a blank CD. It's really just about my experience and my practice and how I came to the practice, and then also it's instructional. It's a guide on how to establish a meditation practice.
And I think that's your hook. The meditation practice is what I would market if I was you, if that's what you want folks to get to.
Marcus.
Well, and ultimately, I think that you have the advantage of it's a meditation practice guide that's wrapped in your personal story, because a lot of people read or understand a narrative that much better. So I personally, I think you hit the nail square on the head right there. As far as what your messaging is it is keep it at exactly that, which is it's an easy to digest guide to meditation because it's wrapped in my story, right? They can follow along with you instead of, on Wednesdays do X, Y, and Z. It's not the checklist approach to meditation and self-improvement. It is a narrative approach, which interestingly enough also serves the purposes. It serves a deeper purpose simultaneously with the themes you're playing with, because it's encouraging that slowdown and self-reflection, because they have to plumb your story to figure out what to do, instead of just, I'm sitting in a dark room and why don't I feel more relaxed?
Marcus, have you read the book already?
I mean, as we discussed a few years ago, and we do need to catch up again, I feel like I tracked like 75% of what you're talking about, because I am a self-confessed stoic. So
I think you put it, I think you hit it, the nail on the head. Thank you. I'll be in touch with you. I liked what you said.
And he started recording in the middle of your presentation. So this is all recorded so that you can go back and listen again.
Yeah, no, I have to be honest, I didn't even put this together until yesterday. Because of the book, I'm having problems with the finalization of the files that I need to upload onto the different platforms. And so I had to put out a fire by finding a whole new designer to start to do a whole new design for the interior. And it needs to be finished by the 11th. So it's been a little bit crazy, but everything works out well, and I'm looking forward to getting it published and out on the platforms.
Find one, Todd?
I'm sorry?
Did you find a designer?
Yes, I did. I found a guy in the UK.
Okay, because I was going to say I know a local.
one other.
And then we need to have, we need more coffee.
Yes, we do. So one other quick thought for you that I think would be kind of funny then is if and when you release the second edition of the book, talk about how mad of a scramble it was to get the first edition of the book out, and then reflect on, and seriously, reflect on how your practice kept you calm, right? How the first edition material kept you going in the mad scramble. And it's just like a funny little epilogue in the second edition of the book. of how the first edition happened.
I mean, that is.
No, I've been watching my thoughts. Definitely. I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to go there.
I would say that's Michael Singer's book. I mean, he's got Untethered Soul, and then his second one is basically like how he applied everything from Untethered Soul to when he was in a lawsuit. So you're onto something, Marcus. All
Thanks,
right,
Marcus.
so there's still like a half a pot of coffee, so go fill up your cup and drink some while you're standing there and fill up some more. Like 5 of us here.
Done.
What
What does the other guy look like?
I don't know the house anything.
He won that fight.
And Allison, if you want to be getting up your
I got halfway to town and left my computer on.
Presentation.
No, it's, I'm usually.
Turn around, it's like-
what?
I
I
had
left
the
my
coffee had
computer on the
kicked
back
in.
porch this morning, because I was just like, okay, I gotta go
I think it's.
put some antifreeze in the. Oh, and it's-
I have this
Yeah, I
feeling that I
noticed
left
it.
the garage door open.
That's
But
what I
I,
noticed
like,
this morning.
Whenever I have that
There's
feeling, I'll start to back
probably
and check
a
and it's
5-minute
always
leg to
closed.
this
Yeah.
coffee.
Well, I reached around, I'm like, oh,
And
shit.
then all of a
this is
sudden,
going-
I'm like,
I go back, there's a little snow.
I
wish it was
Kicking
just,
It's
I wish it was just circumstantial like the weather. I think it was the lead in the drinking water when I was a kid.
Yeah. Are you from Flint? I'm
I'm
from Michigan, you know. About 45 minutes north.
See, there you
go.
I said,
You
I
want a
would
good
think
deal on
writing
real estate.
was
It's
fun.
rock-
Prices are rock bottom money.
Yeah, and they'll come with all new plumbing.
Since my,
What are you gonna work
since
with?
Sarah, I asked Sarah
Yeah,
for
we
a
almost
price.
do.
Just gotta
I know,
keep
that's, I
selling
was
it
like, oh,
upside
there wasn't
until
as
you
much as
buy
it
it.
looked like.
The government actually comes in and replaces
Everyone
all the
obeyed you.
pipes for free.
Finally, only that worked at home.
Like
Interesting.
one by one, you know.
Crazy.
Natalie put on here, there's still a few openings in April and starting to look at May for schedule. So if you want to present or you have friends to present, let Natalie know.
Already.
All right. Wow, we're a little ahead of schedule. It's not 9:32 yet. Now it's 9:32. Okay, from Dane's schedule. Okay, so
Does it say 9:32?
he did, when he wrote it down for me last time, it said 9:32.
Wow.
It made me laugh, but, okay, so we've got our second presenter, Alison Proffit, Profit Coach. And Allison's fun fact is that she just conquered a 79-foot tall pocket rocket. Apparently that's a
Doesn't mean
rock
what you
climbing, an outdoor rock climbing path in Moab. But it's just more fun to tell it that way.
That is not how I submitted my facts. I just want to say that Leandra totally took some creative liberty there. Thanks, Leandra. Not blushing at all.
I just like to get you started on an uncomfortable foot.
Hey, you know, I worked in HR for 15 years, so I can pretty much handle anything. So, thank you. Was that the end of my introduction? Like, is that's literally where you left it. That's literally where you left it. Okay.
But you can tell us the rest of the story. Like I just like Paul Harvey it and start the story.
I love it. I love it. So I got into rock climbing in January last year, and I've started to do outdoor climbing in the fall. And in February, I went out to Utah, to Moab for the first time. And there's this really cool rock climbing route that has all these little pockets like in the sandstone. And the route itself is called Pocket Rocket. And so it's 79 foot tall. And it's pretty cool. So that's my fun fact. I'm into rock climbing. So I actually do not have a presentation, which I know flies in the face of 1 million cups. And I'm okay with that. So Natalie had asked me to come in and just share an update about the event that I just finished running for the second time. So I have my own business, Profit Coach. I'm a business coach. I started my business in October 2019. I don't really have an ask other than just, you know, if you have any questions about the community or if you have any ideas for potential people that could be a good fit for the community. I view it almost even as an extension of the 1 Million Cups community, because there's a lot of people from 1 Million Cups who have actually been a part of my Soulful Entrepreneur Summit community. So that's the ask, just introductions and any feedback or questions that you have, I'm happy to answer. So what is the Soulful Entrepreneur Summit? It is a virtual event and online community that gathers entrepreneurs who are looking to do business in a way that is heart-centered and soul-aligned, bringing their whole selves into what they do and how they do it. There are 4 main pillars to the Soulful Entrepreneur Summit. There is Soulful Mindset, Soulful Money and Time, Soulful Messaging, and Soulful Community. The 5-day virtual event, the first time we did it was in January 2021. The event was really successful. We had about 220 registrants. We had some paid sponsors. We had, I would say, probably about like 35 total speakers and panelists, and it was led by myself and 2 co-moderators. And when we first ran that event, it was a lot of work because we were building it as we went. And when Natalie reached out to me, she said it would be really fun to just share my learnings from doing the event a second year in a row. And so one thing that we learned immediately following the first event was that we didn't have a good follow-up plan. We really were not expecting the event to be as successful as it was. And so we didn't really know what to expect, and we didn't really plan well. At the end of that first event, we did launch an offering. We ran a 6-week profit accelerator program where we walked about like 7 entrepreneurs signed up for this opportunity, and we walked them through this accelerator program. It was over 6-7 weeks, I think, and then they just kind of moved on. But at the end of that, we kind of lost touch with them, and we did do a mini event in June, but there wasn't a whole lot of connection and engagement. And so for the event in 2022, and this is going to sort of roll into why I don't have slides. In 2022, we decided we were going to do the event again in January. We started the planning process in September of 2021. And very quickly, we had our roster of speakers all lined up. I had my co-moderator, my co-creator, Amanda Mundo, and then we had brought in a guest moderator. And all of the planning for this year's event was actually really easy because we were replicating something that we did the year before. And so the marketing materials were really easy. We knew, like, operationally all the things we had to do to pull off a really successful event. And so it was easy to delegate tasks and get people on board to help us with things. One of the things that the Soulful Entrepreneur community really focuses on is the importance of allowing things to unfold. I think this is such a good segue from Todd's presentation. Todd was actually very present at the summit event in January, but it's really about allowing and surrendering. And so when things sort of like don't go as planned, when you think you're going to have time to put a presentation together and then like all kinds of life happens and you didn't have an opportunity to make your slideshow, giving yourself the grace and permission, because we all know that entrepreneurship is hard and life doesn't stop because you're a business owner. In fact, it gets even more complicated. I'm actually not in Colorado right now. I'm in Pennsylvania dealing with aging parents situations. And thanks, Leandra. Is that the 1 minute mark? Is that what that means?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So, you know, what we learned was we really did learn about how important it is to surrender. 2 weeks before the event happened, at the end of January, my 2 co-moderators were basically like, we're not sure we're going to be able to show up. And so I thought at that point, I was going to have to run a 5-day virtual event that had 300 attendees all by myself. And I surrendered. I did a lot of meditating. I did a lot of breathing. And what I realized in that opportunity of my own personal growth was really the importance of leaning on your community. I had so many people that I reached out to who love the Soulful Entrepreneur community, that are actually a part of the Fort Collins business community, that really just stepped up and offered help in a lot of different ways. So I really learned that lesson is really important, that our community matters, and having at least some sort of vision for what's next. So I'm just gonna pop up if you head to getsoulfulsuccess.com, that is our website for the summit, but it is also where we are featuring our ongoing events. And so I would love to invite all of you to come and check out our community. We definitely are doing events on an ongoing basis. A lot of them are free because we know that soulful entrepreneurs desire opportunities to connect, grow, inspire, and love. And so it's about building the community, connecting us to each other, and leaning into the fact that like a soulful entrepreneur knows that you're not always going to get it right, but what does right even mean? So we've got our upcoming events. We've got a podcast that I'm launching, and we're going to do another event in January 2023. And it's going to be even better than this year. So thank you for those of you that participated in the event, in our first one and this one, and happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Right. Are you looking for any feedback in particular, Allison?
I mean, obviously some of you were at the event, so that's sort of separate from this, but yeah, just like anything that people feel like would be compelling to just spread the word around this community and this mission. Like it started off as an extension of my business, but it's bigger than that. It's not just my business. It's like this whole other entity that has taken on a life of its own. And I know Leandra got business out of it. So
I was actually just going to say that. I was like, if you're not looking for anything, I would say it was very well run. Part of it is that Allison asks us to market for the event. And I was kind of like, oh, because I'm so terrible at Facebook, but it was so easy because I just sent the folder to my VA and I was like, post one of these each week. And I didn't have to think about it. And I mean, it was super easy. And yes, I did. I actually got a new client out of it. Like it helped me define my marketing funnel because Allison was like, okay, you have to offer a freebie. And I was like Allison's like, you have to have a marketing funnel to be part of this. And it worked. Like I actually got a client from that. So I think it's really a win-win-win. And it was really well run. It was really well organized. And the only thing I would say is more breaks, more longer breaks.
Yeah, it's hard, I mean, like the schedule from the first year had even more breaks than we did. Like this one had more breaks than the first one. So yeah, finding ways to balance like really great content. And it's interesting because they're small business owners, and we actually did have a lot of people that showed up all 5 days, and people that didn't get to come to all 5 days because they were like, oh, like I'll come when I can. And the things they came to, they were like, I'm literally blocking my schedule off for the end of January. And we got feedback from our attendees that the value of our ticket needed to be increased significantly. So we raised our ticket price to $397 for next year. And we had people that bought the tickets already. And so like, we set the price based on what the market told us. And then just the ongoing, I think, feedback of people is that like, it was really well run. And the intention is, sure, I want to make money, but I'm about more than that. Like, I'm really about like making transformational changes in the entrepreneurship world. And so, Leandra, I'm glad that you felt that way. And I do think that like, it does require that you understand that like, you have a business and you're doing things, you have to have a plan, like having a funnel or having a lead magnet. In my experience at Constant Contact equipped me with like how to help people do that. Cause I did offer some free consultation to some of our speakers on how to actually create that and set it up easily. because they're a reflection of my event. So it's like thinking about it in a very holistic way in your own businesses is something I'm just hoping to model. And so I know this was a very different presentation, but yeah.
I think it was a great win-win-win. Eric, right?
Yeah, my only comment back to you would be, as someone that had no idea what you were talking about in the beginning, like it was just the name and everything was new. I was trying to grasp where are you going with Soulful? What does this mean? And so maybe just leading or just remembering that not everyone is a part of your community out the gate, and just say, what does Soulful mean to you? Why is this important? Just so I can get on the same page. I found your site right away just to be like, am I going to see yoga or is it BB King? What are we talking about here?
Yes, the answer is yes, actually. We featured music all throughout our event. So whatever it does mean for you, it's about showing up as the whole human. But I received that feedback for sure. Again, just my own personal life right now has sort of unexpectedly gotten in the way. And so thank you for your grace. And yeah, sorry, Eric, that I didn't fill in the gap on that piece of it.
Anybody else have questions or comments for Allison? Marcus?
So I want to pose you a question that is based on actually what I'm going through right now. Because you talked about having balance with life, trying to make that all happen as an entrepreneur. You are obviously dealing with some stuff right now. For me, it's purely work, so it makes it pretty easy. But I'm working on a project right now where realistically the two outcomes are a multi-million-dollar real estate deal collapses or people are homeless. Like that, those are the outcomes. And I don't have an answer other than pouring as many hours down the project hole as possible to just get it done. I'm curious how that fits in. I'm curious how that fits into your approach or philosophy of if and when it's just grind time to put your face into the belt sander.
Okay, yeah. So this is where my business.
I would have protect my face after that.
How do you think I got this?
Yeah. Eric's got a bandage on his nose back there. So Eric had his nose to the grindstone.
I also have to just acknowledge, like, it's very weird because it's like I can see that there's humans in the room, but I'm like, who's there? I think it's Jenny. Is that Jenny there?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I can't see anybody else. So
I'm in front.
anyways, so this is where the intersection of my own business of Profit Coach really comes and like intersects with it all. So my philosophy and what I work with my clients on is that joy is the best business strategy. I call myself a holistic business coach because I integrate life coaching with business coaching, and bringing in like mind, body, and spirit into what you're doing and how you're doing it. And this is informed through my 15-year career of working in human resources, right? So it's not that I don't understand that like business is a thing and it's hard and it happens and there's all these unexpected things and there's goals and there's, people that you might disappoint and difficult outcomes. But the truth is that like often we're walking around and we're putting all this pressure on ourselves, and there are so many other things that are unseen that we have no idea about that influence what we do and how we do it, including in government, in economy, in business. And I think that like there is a time to like hit the ground and like, run at it. I mean, like I definitely did that 2 weeks before my summit when I was like, holy Hannah, how am I going to run this whole thing by myself? This is not a one-person show. It cannot be. And I did just kind of activate all the different resources that I knew how to. And there was a lot of letting go. I mean, I didn't have the follow-up plan that I wanted to have fully in place because I had to change gears. So, the question then becomes, what's really in your control? And what's the worst that will happen? like for real, if the worst outcome that you're predicting actually happens? And what are the resources and opportunities that might show up for those people that may be impacted? I think all of us can say that when we've had really hard and what some might say bad things happen in our life, that they have been the greatest blessings. Show of hands, like how many of you agree that that is so?
Yeah, like to the grind too. The grind for me over the last 2 years has made me a completely different human. So I can't say I would take a viewpoint of fuck yeah, you're grinding, brother, and grind for a year or two, and then get on the other side of that and realize, holy shit, I started on the ground floor. It was all my fucking 2 feet, and you are a different human. And I've heard this from people like Maria Shriver, you know, like people who had big parents to like big shoes to fill, right? And how they dealt with it is they started on the fucking ground floor. So, but to your point, you can't grind for 2 years, man. I hear you. So to what Allison says, I think there is like the original guy, Todd, finding that wall of like my sanity and my humanity and my family. You know, the family is what has been driving a lot of folks. I've been in her shoes and whatnot. So, but the grind for the last 2 years, man, I've been grinding my ass off, you know, and I'm getting almost through to the end of that. And I just feel completely different about like the next problem or the next this or that, you know, and the mindset work and all this and that. So
All right,
like
we're gonna-
embrace the grind.
We're gonna wrap up with Todd and then we'll
Fucking right, you know.
with last question. So Todd, go ahead.
I just wanted to respond to what Marcus was mentioning about the situation with the homeless. And I wanted I've been wanting to try and have some sort of a program that I can offer to the homeless people, because my knowledge and experience, I think, is something that's very valuable for those people. I think it's valuable for a lot of people. And I would also challenge all of you who said that you practice these things and that you think the same ways or that you do the same things to try reading my book. You know, I just, maybe there is something in there that's a little bit different. Maybe there is something that is a little bit, it's like there's a different way to turn the doorknob, you know? And as far as what, I'm not sure who was just talking, but as far as what you were saying, I appreciate what you're saying. And, you know, sometimes that grind is just the reality that we're not willing to live with, because life was not, we in our culture are traditionally taught to believe that I'm supposed to be good and everything is supposed to work out. But that is a lie, and it does not work, because that's not reality. It's when we get to the point in our lives where we can accept reality and recognize that this is reality, and I am living this experience for a reason. I met this person for a reason. I'm doing this for a reason. And if all we do is push it away, push it away, push it away, then we're not learning the lessons that we need to learn. And so if it's all right, if I can get permission, I'd like to share the my website for my book. If not, that's fine. I understand I'm not supposed to be selling things.
Yeah, just go ahead and drop it in the chat. That's fine. And if we want something, can go there.
Thank you.
And I'd just love to say thank you for your feedback. And I thought I heard the name Harley, and I wanted to make sure that I said, hey, Harley, what's up? Harley is the reason that Proffit Coach was successful. And there's like stories around that. So Harley, good to see you. He gave me a soft place to land when Proffit Coach started. And the grind and where we don't want to be is often where we're supposed to be. So
It's always where you're always where you're supposed to be. Once you embrace that, your life will change. Right, Todd?
But it's the embrace.
I'm trying to zoom in so you can see people, but I can't figure it out. So
no worries.
irrelevant at this point. So just before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to Todd and Allison, if we can give them another round of applause. Stimulating some deep conversation for 1 million cups this morning. And then we've just got about 6 minutes left. So who has a win who needs help or who has a resource that we need to know about?
I'm looking for another realtor. I think I found a guy, but I'm looking for another realtor to basically, help us grow up here. We get paid a salary. We have healthcare, benefits, all of the above. So it's a lot different of a scenario. But I'm also here if anybody wants to talk about the boots on the ground, what's going on. I'm not trying to sell anything either, but I think folks do, if you're thinking about making moves or whatever like that, it's something that, if I live in Fort Collins, I would want to talk to somebody. And I got an idea for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I've shared this resource yet, but I just found this cool software for people who want to use speaking as their part of their marketing funnel, now that I have one. But it's called PitchDB, and it has it's a software that they've used to scour the internet for podcasts, for events, for conferences, and for media outlets, I think. And so you can filter, I filtered mine on entrepreneur and alternative health. So I can find podcasts that are speaking to alternative health businesses. And then I can send template emails from there. So it's pretty cool, like a templated email to them to say, hey, are you looking for speakers? So it's a pretty cool software.
What's it called?
Pitch TV,
PitchDB.
DB? Like
DB, database.
oh, data.
Database, PitchDB. Any other wins, help, or resources? Hello, Jana Sanchez. So nice to see you here.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to pop in. I've been absolutely insane, and the workshops I run have all been scheduled on Wednesdays, and it's been like, I miss you all. I miss you all very much. Quick resource for all of you. If you are in the process of building job descriptions, or quite frankly, your own, and if you as a CEO have not built your own job description, that's a conversation you should have. But the Larimer County Workforce Development Group is now doing job description evaluations. So you submit them online to them. They get back to you with a team of HR experts that talk to you about the job description within 5 business days. So new free resource from the county that they've stepped up and facilitated a little bit better that might be useful in terms of making sure your job descriptions meet all of the legal requirements, as well as the new Colorado stuff that's come out.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you all.
We're not getting our resources because I'm not plugged in like you are to all those things. So we're just in our own little hub here. So thanks for sharing that.
Can I share? I feel like it's a resource, but it's like a little connection into that soulful entrepreneur thing. My podcast drops on Sunday, so I would love help with marketing it. I'm just really, really stoked about it. I've been wanting to do a podcast since 2017. And so now it's actually happening, and I'm partnering with a local real estate guy as well. His name's Paul Wozniak. So getsoulfulsuccess.com is where you can find out more info about it, but I'm really, really excited about it.
All right. Well, you got 2 minutes. Any other wins, help, or resources? All right. Well, then have a good rest of your week and stay warm and drive safely.
Yeah. Stay
It'll be
warm.
nice by the weekend.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
So I have a problem not being able to compartmentalize my job. Right?
Well, of course, you're real estate
And I don't
agent.
even have I don't even have homeless people I'm dealing with. Right? You know what I'm saying? I have sometimes assholes. And I've found the only